my question for you guys is, do you believe that the Occupy movement is less or more effective than the Tea Party?
Well, so I can start off the conversation. One of the things I did in yeah, I can turn it off. But okay, so it depends on what your definition of effectiveness is. Is it directly influencing the political process? Okay, here's an example. In every GOP debate thus far, every candidate on numerous occasions has mentioned how he agrees with the Tea Party demands. We have to shrink government spending, we have to become more conservative, et cetera, et cetera. At the highest levels, potential political leaders are kowtowing to the Tea Party because it was incredibly powerful in bringing candidates in the 2010 elections and in shutting down the political process in the 2 years since then. In contrast, Obama made sure that when it was determined that the occupation should be shut down, he just made sure that it all happened in a way that was more or less safe and civil. I don't hear a lot of conversation about how we agree with the Occupy agenda, and I think it's because the agenda of the Occupy movement, broadly speaking, is to change politics as it's done. So if you've been elected by the political system that these movement participants say is really problematic, then you're essentially indicting yourself. So on that level, the movement's lack of success speaks to its very success, that it's the most participants who are really leading this movement describe themselves as political dissidents who don't want to have anything to do with the political process as it stands. But then the broader effectiveness, again, I think speaks to, are they starting a political conversation? Are they getting people engaged? When you see the tens of thousands of people across the country that are starting to talk about these issues that previously weren't, I think that speaks to a great level of effectiveness, that it's of a different type.
Measuring success of a movement is really hard. One issue is short-term, long-term. The Tea Party movement has been around longer, right? So to compare apples to apples, I would revisit that question around September of 2012, right? Which is when the Tea Party really started to show how much power it had in the electoral process, right? In September 2010, right? So the Occupy Wall Street movement is much earlier in that gestation period. It's still organizing. It's still figuring out exactly what its strategy is going to be, and we'll see, right, around September. So that would be the first sort of caveat, right? Long term, I would say that the Occupy movement has more potential to succeed, and that the Tea Party movement has already failed. Right? The Tea Party movement, in its origins, was cacophonous. It was anti-establishment. It was much like the Occupy movement is today. It was about returning voice to citizens. That voice, as far as I can tell, is gone. Right? The three issues that the Tea Party supposedly cares about, that Mitt Romney tells us it cares about, are free markets, small government, and fiscal responsibility. In the beginning, the Tea Party was anti-globalization, was anti-immigrant, was pro-nationalist. It was Ron Paul in his heyday was anti-war, wanted to return jobs to America. Right? It was about a lot more. All of that other stuff kind of got cleaved off, and the movement was co-opted and steered in a direction that made it less confrontational and less objectionable to the 1%, right? And so the Tea Party, the original Tea Party, that populist, cacophonous movement is dead, right? It is now firmly embedded in the Republican Party. And I think the goal of the Occupy movement is to never become that, is to keep the power in individuals and not settle on three goals, right? The one goal that we need to settle on is opening political spaces for citizens, right? And that, I think, is a much harder goal to measure. So it's going to be harder to tell whether the Occupy movement succeeds or not. If it succeeds in engaging more people in more kinds of politics, then it succeeded. I'd be less interested in knowing whether it had any kind of immediate policy success.
We've come to the end of the recorded portion of our panel discussion. We have 25 minutes remaining off mic. is this side, this turn, and gentleman in the front row.
You've talked a great deal about the